The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember which ones are true and which ones are urban legends. In this episode called Expect the Unexpected, you'll see 3 stories that end with outrageous surprises, some good, some very bad. First, Ed Robinson's unlikely friendship with a chicken goes off with a shocking bang. Then reporter Juan Perez uncovers Mexico's most mind-boggling mystery. And finally, James Amburn goes on the ride of his life when his financial advice finally matures. Watch all 3 and decide which urban legends are true and which ones are false. Find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. First, it's a story we like to call A Wing and a Prayer. Kim Robinson is a down-to-earth country girl. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. It's a lesson learned from her grandfather, Ed.
He did everything. You couldn't stop him. I don't know if he even went down to rest. He just kept going.
More than anything, Kim remembers Ed for one thing, a pet named Tuk Tuk.
My grandfather loved that chicken, and the chicken just loved him to death.
Tuk Tuk was more than just a friend. He was a miracle chicken, and he'd take Ed on a journey that defied both science and reason.
Wow. These stories are just unexplained. Like, how could this happen?
It all began in 1970, when Ed's mind is far away from chickens. As a long-haul truck driver, he's focused on the road. But one night, disaster strikes.
A car went around him, and he jackknifed the truck, and he hit his head really bad on the back of the windshield. He had some cracked ribs and bruises from the seatbelt.
Passing motorists come to Ed's aid and get him to the hospital.
I feel pulse. Good. Did you get help?
His wife nurses him, but she soon realizes Ed's injuries are far worse than anyone thought.
He woke up and he had a concussion. Apparently, he complained that it was like a tight belt around his head of pain for the longest time. His hearing was bad, and his sight just started to slowly go away.
Within a year, Ed is blind and almost totally deaf. There's nothing doctors can do.
It was hard for him to adjust at first.
Ed's condition is beyond the help of modern medicine, but as Ed will soon learn, not beyond the power of a chicken.
My grandfather started taking care of stray animals in the backyard, squirrels, raccoons. One day, here's this poultry truck down the street, wrecked, and a chicken fell off this poultry truck. The chicken was badly beaten up from the accident, and he started taking care of the chicken and gave it a name, Tuk Tuk.
It seems Tuk Tuk and Ed have a lot in common.
Here, the chicken fell off this poultry truck from an accident, and he got handicapped from an accident. So I guess they developed this friendship.
But soon, Tuk Tuk will give Ed something much more important than friendship. It began with an afternoon storm.
It started raining, and bad lightning strikes were going on, and my grandfather went out back, started calling this chicken. He's out there yelling for this chicken, Tuk Tuk, Tuk Tuk.
Despite the driving rain, Ed refuses to return inside until he knows Tuk Tuk is safe.
It was close to the tree, and then all of a sudden, boom! Lightning strikes the tree, ricochets off the tree, and hits him.
When his wife comes home, she finds her husband alive, but in shock. Incredibly, Ed survives his second near-death experience. But as he recovers, something unbelievable happens.
God can't be everywhere. That's why he made grandparents.
Ed's wife doesn't believe he's read the plaque. She figures he's memorized it, and he's playing a prank.
And my grandmother, she already knows he knows that. So that didn't prove anything to her yet.
The next thing Ed says will stun her.
And then he starts to tell her about the pretty blue dress she's wearing.
I always loved that blue dress on you.
That's when my grandma's like, oh, how did he know that? She couldn't believe that one.
You can see, Ed? You can see.
Ed's vision has returned. It appears Tuk Tuk has led him to a lightning storm that brought back his sight. But that's not all.
He was so busy that evening, he didn't even realize he had no hearing aid on. It was busted out in the backyard.
Ed can now see and hear perfectly. It's a miracle. But there's one more surprise yet to come.
The same year my grandfather lost his sight and his hearing was the same year I was born. And for 9 years, he never got to see me and my sister.
Thanks to Tuk Tuk, Ed soon gets to see his granddaughters for the very first time. A man made deaf and blind by a truck accident rescues a chicken from an identical crash. The chicken repays the favor by giving him back his hearing
You can
and sight.
see.
Is it true, or is it a story for the birds? Find out at the end of the show. Mini-myth number 865, dead men don't cash checks. When Virgilio Cintron died in his Manhattan apartment, friends decided to turn the corpse into a cash cow by spending the dead man's last Social Security check. The men dropped him on an office chair and wheeled him to a check-cashing store. When the clerk asked to see the check's owner, they explained he's outside, but by then a crowd had gathered. Cops were called, and their fraud was found out. Was it true or false? It was true. Social Security fraud is pretty common, although this con was uniquely dumb. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. You must decide which ones are totally true and which are crazy concoctions. So far, you've seen the story of Ed Robinson, whose hearing and sight is restored with the help of a chicken. But is it real or fake? We'll let you know at the end of the show. Now it's time for our next story. It's called Killer Ratings. Mexican newsman Juan Perez is always on the lookout for a sizzling scoop. But there's one story that was almost too hot for Juan to handle. In 2006, the city of Saltillo, Mexico, was in the midst of an unprecedented crime wave.
It wasn't safe to be on the streets. You always have to protect yourself and, try not to be out late and take care of your kids.
True crime shows rule the TV airwaves. One big story can make a career. Except no one can beat one newsman, superstar reporter Gabriel Angel Martinez.
Martinez, he was the kind of reporter that would get the news before anybody else in the business, many times even before the police.
The whole city is watching Martinez's hit show, Crime Time. That's bad news for young reporters like Juan.
My boss, he was on top of me. It was like I couldn't even sleep.
While Juan struggles to get just one scoop, Martinez has another trick up his sleeve. He's so popular, he's decided to run for mayor.
He was able to show that he was tough in crime because of the show, and that the city really needed a tough mayor because the city was just going down the drain.
Remarkably, Martinez wins easily. He's more powerful than ever. Meanwhile, Juan is still without a scoop, and his boss has had enough.
It was too much. He was screaming at me. He was telling me if I don't come up with the story, I was going to get fired.
Juan can't understand why Martinez keeps beating him to every crime scene. He's starting to get suspicious.
The first couple of times, it was like, we thought, wow, good, right? It was happening too often, and we started thinking that could have been something more than just coincidence.
Juan tries hiring informants to keep tabs on his rival.
Gabriel Martinez, you know?
Okay, you know that guy.
Yeah? Tell me everything he does, okay? When he farts, I want you to tell me how it smells, okay?
No problem. Nice.
It didn't work out. The informants, they're usually criminals, and they take your money, and then they go to the next station and they do the same thing.
In desperation, he reaches an incredible decision.
You follow Martinez.
I don't know.
He's going to spy on Martinez.
We're gonna do this, man. Martinez goes down.
After spending his last few pesos on a bugging device, Juan secretly attaches it to Martinez's crime time van and waits. After 3 days, he gets what he's waiting for. The crew load up, and they're in a hurry.
There was a movement suddenly. The crew was moving. We decided this is it. We have to go for it. So we follow them.
Martinez must be heading to a crime scene, but when they arrive, there's no dead body.
And suddenly, bam! Shot. Gunshot.
Desperate for a scoop, Juan runs directly towards the gunfire. He spots the murderer, but has to keep his distance.
The guy was armed. You know, we didn't want to risk it.
And then he sees the victim. But things aren't adding up. Martinez arrived at the murder scene before the murder was committed.
How'd they know?
The first thing on my mind was, what's going on here? How come they tipped off this guy before the crime is committed?
Juan rushes back to check the tapes from his bugging device.
Escúchanme muy bien.
And I was shocked to find out that the conversation was like crazy.
Martinez is talking to a hitman.
I couldn't believe it. He was doing the hiring himself. He was hiring the hitmen. I couldn't believe it.
It was Martinez, the mayor, the TV host, the most popular man in Saltillo, Mexico, who had been ordering hits on small-time crooks so he could be the first with the news.
It was like a game for him. You know, it was like playing a game. He kills the bad guys, and he gets famous, and nobody's blamed.
Juan tips off the police. When Martinez shows up at his next crime scene, he's about to turn into front-page news. Martinez is arrested and convicted of more than a dozen murders, and Juan Perez finally gets his scoop.
The story was like, it was a big boost. It was like breaking news, prime time. I must tell you, I didn't enjoy it. It was sad to see this man, you know, falling down so low.
A murderous mayor who gets killer ratings by creating his own crimes. Did it really happen? You'll have to wait till the end of the show to find out. Mini-myth number 5641, The Soldier's Friend. Just back from Iraq, Ed Juarez called his parents to ask if he can bring home his injured friend to live with them. His parents say they couldn't possibly care for a double amputee. A day later, the family gets a shocking call. Their son has killed himself. But at the morgue, the father gets an even bigger shock. His son is missing an arm and a leg. The friend he talked about was actually him. Their rejection led to his suicide. Was it true or false? It was false. This story is a bit of anti-war propaganda that's been around for a while. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. Your job is to sort out the terrifically true from the farcically false. So far, you've seen the story of a pet chicken that gives a blind man much more than friendship. And the story of a notorious newsman who manufactures his own headline news. But which of these stories are the real thing? All will be revealed at the end of the show. Now it's time for our final story. We call this one The Big Payback. Harold Baumgartel is a top criminal lawyer who deals with some of Germany's most notorious cases.
My specialist is for murder, rape, drugs.
Harold thought he'd seen it all, but in 2009, he took on the most bizarre case of his career.
I never heard such a story, and it's unbelievable that that story can happen.
It all began more than a decade earlier in sunny Florida, home to German financial advisor James Amburn.
Willie and Roland live there in the winter times, and so they come to him to make the taxes and so on.
Amburn convinces German retirees Willie Drescher and Roland Kaspar to invest over €1 million each. But they're in for a terrible surprise.
They lose the money in a few of weeks.
Willie and Roland think they've been swindled. They sue.
The pensioners try 4 years to bring Mr. Amburn to the court. And Mr. Amburn didn't come to the dates, and he said he's ill, he's not there.
But in 2009 in Germany, Willie and Roland get a break. Amburn has returned home. They decide to take the law into their own hands.
They push him in his apartment and say to him, we have to speak with you about the investment. And he said, we have nothing to speak, the money is gone, I can't give you any money. Fetch the green folder. That was the sign for Willie, that he go to the car, put big moving box, a trolley, and tape.
But Willie and Roland have a crazy plan.
They taped Mr. Amburn's hand and legs, and they put him on the floor and put him in this moving box. Yes, that's unbelievable, but they put the moving box with Mr. Amburn inside, step for step down the 2 floors.
Amburn is ready for shipping to Roland's summer home, 5 hours away. There, Amburn gets another surprise. 3 other seniors who've lost money have joined the gang. They also want payback.
The pensioners knew that he has an account in a bank in Switzerland, and say to him, give the bank the order to transfer the money here to Germany.
At first, Amburn refuses access to his Swiss bank account. After days in captivity, he gives in. But Amburn has a trick up his sleeve.
He said to the pensioners, I have to take a code that the banker see that that's me who give the order.
The seniors are suspicious of this banker's code, and with good reason.
And in this code was written, call police. And the pensioners read that, but they didn't realize that that code is a cry for help.
In German, the word police means policy. In financial language, it's normal. So the seniors let it slide.
The pensioners were happy.
But after 2 days, the money hasn't arrived. And neither have the police. Amburn's plan has failed.
It was Friday, 6 o'clock in the evening. The banks are closed. And he said the money is not transferred. And so he was in fear that he have to stay over the weekend.
He decides to make a break for it. He spots a potential savior. It's Roland's neighbor, Martin Barsch.
Hörte ich eine Stimme, Hilfe.
But the story of this kidnapping is so bizarre. It's Amburn who sounds like the crazy one.
Machte nur wirklich einen verwirrten Eindruck. Ab diesem Zeitpunkt dachte ich mir, der ist irgendwie, behindert vielleicht.
These slippery seniors have a sensible explanation.
Willie and Roland said to him, that's a burglar, please hold him, we have to call police. But we do that.
Roland's longtime neighbor has no reason to doubt his friend, but the tables are about to turn on the kidnappers. Little do they know, Amburn's message has finally gotten through. Their crazy kidnapping is about to come to a shocking end.
They think there is a criminal group. They said, that's unbelievable that we here have three pensioners between 60 and 80 to do that. And they were astonished.
Even more distressed is the neighbor who was an unwitting accomplice to the crime.
Also sowas wie das wird bestimmt in unseren schönen, ordentlichen, sauberen Bayern nicht mehr vorkommen.
But are these octogenarian outlaws the real deal? Or are you the one who's being swindled? It's time to reveal the truth about our three incredible stories. First up is the tale of Ed Robinson and his miracle chicken Tuk Tuk. Was it fact or fiction?
I'm Kimberly Robinson, and Ed Robinson was my grandfather, and this is a true story.
Tuk Tuk really did lure Ed out into a lightning storm that restored his hearing and sight. They remained friends for life. Next is a story of Juan Perez, the Mexican newsman who discovered that his rival has been manufacturing the news. But is it true?
It's an amazing scoop. This was a great story, but I'm not a real reporter.
If this story sounds familiar, it's because a Brazilian TV host was accused of a similar crime. But unlike our imaginary newsman, he was never convicted, and his crimes were not nearly as sensational. Which leaves the story of geriatric justice gone terribly wrong. Did this one nab you as true or false?
My name is Harald Baumgärtl. The story happened.
This incredible story of scrappy seniors taking the law into their own hands is completely true. The pensioners ended up going to prison, while James Amburn remains free. That's the end of our episode called Expect the Unexpected. Were you able to separate the righteously right from the ridiculously wrong? Don't worry if you couldn't. You'll get another chance to separate fact from fiction on the next installment of Urban Legends.